it has been time to talk about the most powerful control within .NET MAUI, the collection view. Welcome to another .NET MAUI video. In this video I will show you all you need to know about collection view according to me. So, collection view is what the name says. It's a view for showing collection of data. We had it already in Xamarin Forms, where it replaced the list view that was much more limited than the collection view and less performant. So, .NET MAUI collection view is what I will show you today. So let's open Visual Studio so we can start to write some code. So now we are inside of Visual Studio. I have created a new project from the .NET MAUI app template. What I have done here is that I have added a city service, I call it. It's a service that gives us name and positions of cities. So we have some data to work with inside of our collection view. But we should not care that much about that, because that's just some boilerplate that we need to have a good demo. But I have also created a view model, and we have an empty view, and there is where we will work in this video. So we can start to go to the view model, and we can load some data and add it to a collection that we can bind the collection view to. So I prepared with a load data method that is called when binding context is set. So what we first do is that we fetch some data from the city service, and we can use the get method, and then we can fetch, let's say, 20 items, for example. Then later in this video I will show you how you work with collection view to load more items, because we have a lot of items in this data source that we can use for that. Then we need an observable collection, a property. So we create that. Public observable collection of cities. Make it a property. And we give it a default value. So, and now we can either add items one by one to the observable collection, or we can create a new instance and set that to the property. I prefer to create a new instance, because every time you call the add method of the collection view, it will trigger an update of the UI. And we want to avoid that, especially in the first load of data. When we add more data later, we want to keep the old items, then we can use the add method if we want to. So we do like this: cities is equal to new observable collection of city, and then we pass the data object like this, and then we need to call property changed, because observable collection will only notify change when you add or remove or doing some manipulation of it, not when you create a new instance. So property changed invoke this new property changed event args name of. If you use community toolkit.mvvm, you can remove some of this boilerplate code using source generators. But in this demo I have not added anything else than what is in the box with .NET MAUI. So now we can go to the view and we can create a collection view. So collection view, item source, and binding to the cities property. And now we also need to create a template, how we want every item to look when it's rendered on the screen. So collection view dot item template, and inside of that we create a data template. We can set a data type of it, or if we want the bindings to be compiled. So in this case, models city. I prepared and imported those namespaces before. So then we can say, let's do a content view with padding 20 for example. Then we add a label, text, binding, name. And now we have created a collection view as simple as it is possible. So let's see how this looks in the app before we go and do some more advanced stuff. So this is how the app will look when we have a simple collection view with data. And you can see we have all the 20 city names here. So if we want to change the layout of the collection view, there is something we can do. This is the default layout, that is a linear layout. But we can also use a grid layout, or we can use linear layout in horizontal way. So that is what I will show you now. So we go here and use collection view, and then we have the items layout property, and here we can say linear items layout as in the default one, but we can set orientation to horizontal. And you can see it will be in this direction instead. Maybe not that usable with this type of data, but for other scenarios it can be very usable. So if we instead change to grid items layout and let's say vertical again, it will look the same, but then we can go and set span to 2 if you, for example, want to have 2 columns. And we can also have a horizontal direction here. We can set spacing, vertical item spacing or horizontal item spacing. Let's try 20 there and set it back to vertical. And this is how it will look then. So if we want to show some message, for example, if there are no available items in a collection view, we can also easily do that. To do that, you can use the empty view property, collection view.empty view, and you can see here that we have both an empty view and an empty view template. If you want to use binding, we can use the view template and create the data template, and then we can set a data source via the empty view property. But in most cases, when you have an empty view, you will just add a label. So we do that. Label, text, and no items in the collection view. And we can add a margin to make it look prettier. So, and now we also, of course, need to stop the data from loading so we can see it. So, shoo! And here we can see no items in the collection view. So now to the big question. Can we have different data templates and load them based on the data? Yes, we can. And we will do that now. And what we need to do then is we need to create a template selector. So let's go and create a new class and make it a template selector. We can have a template selector here based on country. So if it's Sweden, for example, we can make everything blue. Country template selector. And then we add template data template selector as the base class. We implement abstract members, and here we can write some code to handle this. But we also need to have 2 properties, or as how many different templates we want to use. So we can create one for Sweden called Sweden template, for example, and then we can have one for other. Template like this. So now we can write some code here. So first an if statement to check the type of the item. If item is of type city, assign it to a city variable, and then we can do like this, and city.country is equal to SE. Then we can return Sweden template. Otherwise we return the other template. It's not more complicated than this to write a template selector. But now we need to use it, so we go back to the SAML and we create a resource dictionary, content page resources, resource dictionary, and here we can create the data templates. So we can copy this one twice, and we need a key attribute, key like say Sweden, and key other, and then we can do like this, background color blue, and then we import the template selectors, and the template selector is in the same namespace right now as the view models, so we can use that. So we go here, VM : country template selector, Sweden template, static resource Sweden, other template, static resource other, just like that, and then we close it. So, and we need a key on this too, of course, country selector. And now we can go here back and we can remove this item template from here, and instead we use the same property here, item template, but now we say static resource and then country selector, like this. So let's run it. And now we can see that we have some cities that has a blue background color, and that is the Swedish cities. Maybe not look that good, but you can do it as good as you want to, but this is the technique that you will use to do it. And now the time has come to talk about how you can load more cities, because this data collection is huge, so you don't want to load them all directly. So instead we can load them when we reach the end of the collection view. Okay, to do that we need to have a field in the view model for start index, so we keep track on how much we have loaded. Start index is 0 and it should be an integer like this, and then we can add a command, public I command load more, and that returns a new command, and then we pass an action to it like this. And now we can take this code and we, instead of 0 there, we put start index, and then we load the next 20 items. And we need an async keyword there, like this. And now we can do it like this for each item in data, and then we can just add them in the end of the cities collection view, like this. So now we can go to the SAML and we can set a threshold, so it will trigger the load of new items when we have 5 remaining items, for example. You can have 2 here also if you want to, but I think 5 is good in this case. And then we need to specify the command. So we do that. Binding, load more. And now we can try. So here we have city collection, and we can start scroll through it. When we reach the end, it will load more. We can set a breakpoint in the view model to make it more obvious, because it's hard to see in the simulator. So we scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and now we hit the breakpoint because we can now load more data. But we did one mistake. We did not update start index. So we need to do that, of course, too. After this, like say start index and add 20 to it. Yeah, okay. So easy is it to load more data to a collection view. Collection view itself is virtualized, so it reuses the cells, so it will be able to handle a lot of data. But if you have a data that you fetch from a server, you maybe want to load it in chunks instead of loading a big blob on the start, because maybe the user just want to see the first 20 items. Then you don't need to load 20,000, for example. So that is like lazy loading a collection view. With collection view, we also have the option to add a header and a footer that you can use in the top of the collection view and in the bottom of the collection view. And I think that is better to use the header than, for example, use a grid and have the content above the collection view, because collection view works best if it's in a full page. So let's add it like this, and it's very similar to how you did with the empty view. So collection view dot header content view padding 20 label text. This is the header. We can copy this, and then we replace header with footer. This is the footer. And we run to see if it works. And here we can see the header, the footer, and we can still see the empty collection view because the item has not loaded yet. You can handle this empty view with an if statement if you want to. You can have a isBusy property that you can bind to and not show any content in the empty view if you don't want to. Okay, that is how you use header and footer. Now there are just one thing left to show, and that is the grouped collection view. To do that, we need a new data type. So let's go to the view model. We can use that in the same file. We create a new class. Let's say city group, and as a base class it will have a list of city. Then we can add a property string name like this, and then we can add a constructor city group. We can have in string name and list of city items like this, and we pass the items to the base constructor, and name is equal to name. Okay, now we're ready to go, but now we also need to group this, of course. So now the data is grouped. Then we need to change the observable collection to use city group instead. So we changed it there, we changed the property, and we pass list there instead. That is the list of the city groups. And then we are ready to go and edit the SAML. So the first thing we need to do here is to set is grouped to true, and then we need to create a group template header. So collection view dot group header template, add a data template, set the data type so it will be compiled. City group, add a content view with a background color, let's say light gray, and padding 20. And inside there we add a label, text, binding, name. So it's not harder than that. Now we're ready to try it. So now we have a grouped collection view with a country as the group header. So we can scroll it down here. So that was everything for today. I have shown you all you need to know about CollectionView, at least according to me. So there will be more content about the .NET MAUI. My plan is to put out at least a new video every week. So please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and we'll see you next time.